Good evening. I'm so happy to see everyone. Thank you. So I will first start with a prayer. And, we can say all prayers are prayers of heart, isn't it? Otherwise, there's no prayer. Then it wouldn't be a real prayer. In fact, all prayers can sum up in one thought, and that is, we can say, thought of freeing all beings and oneself from confusion of our mind, which brings suffering into our mind. Well, that sums up all prayers. You can say all universal prayer, in fact. There can't be many different kind of prayer, in fact. It has to be a heart prayer. Prayer how you can see your own confusion and see others' confusion, how we can free ourselves. I guess that's why we're all coming tonight to sit and meditate, to learn about oneself. It's not about learning other people, it's about learning oneself. That's what meditation is about. In other words, it's not about poking our nose in other people's business. It's poking our nose in our own self. Something like that. So I will start with a prayer first. Om Nase Namdara Jeno Be Raji Chhoje Rinpoche Sangye Chodangi Dopa Kuna Chasa Dasha Trashi Sho Deme Jepa Seten Tundugu Chepe Nyemba Kotap Kuna Gumba Chhoje Rinpoche Lumbo Tarpa Zara Bedane Simche Tamche Logu Hizam Zapa Zirap Trabalde Sinsam Debe Rashipe Devar Shikpa Gyala Chasalo Jambe Jeno Baden Chere Ziwa Gumbo Jambe Pe Sei Nyimbo Deba Namprase Namge Nyimbo Pacho Ubeduji Pegalu Jena Nubuda Water Nyamai Chasaranam Daji Janju Zimbagela Chasalo Denjin Jotaji Sergina Dujo Bazayung Yenadunda Punzo Pepe Minu Yeze Wunjurokolo de Regenda Jojage Shudu Javaji Jingijama Gizongo Jimebe Trashi Lamugela Chasalo Sambajimbo de Johnson McDonald Gelbo Yurgozon Paya Bodano Namdesi Zela Zegolo Dan Tishu Ladan Tondo Yuse, Piwanda Tishite. Sosum Nazogulik Tishibe, Jide Gwana Chasa. Daja Dingderjawa Zambala, Gidan Yawartsawa. Duden Bebe, some division troop, Tashi de Lepusum Sopar Show, Daja Dingderjawas. Gidan Yawartsawa, Kunjine, Duden Bebe, some division troop, Tashi de Lepusum Sopar Show, Daja Dingderjawa. Gedanya Wartsawa Kunjine, the Debebe Sumdi, Tashi Dele Pusumso Parasho Jumnen de Paragumbo Jizun Jabe Yana Chasalo, Kangilo Dudimi, Nidanum Darasabe, Chingi to go, Chizin Jinika to God. When those Bezara Madamundum Dung and Gizabe, Dusokuna Puji as a Yanatu. To the Jadonio Legature as a chain, Madamuses. Chingi Jose Rajanam, then is a Jusa then is a Jusa Tebeku, Judajade. Dalamus, Jampariana, Marabzanadi, Marabunadi. Marabzanadi, 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 Marabzanadi. Marabzanadi, Marabzanadi, Marabzanadi. Marabzanadi, Kurgum de Jishingipa, Ubetana Sharab. Lebazame, Jame Chugu, Gumbo Jampiana Chas. Concept double the bomb, Jose Tivertona young, Gumbo Jimmy. Came a Parion Tumor show, concept double the bomb, Jose Tivert. Gumbo Jimmy Tinki, came a Parion Tumor show, concept double. Jose Tivertona young, Gumbo Jimmy. Came a Parion Tumor show. So happy to see everyone. It took me a little bit. I got lost. So I'm very happy to be back. The prayer I recited tonight, first of all, is a prayer to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the enlightened beings on the 10 directions of the universe, and then particularly at the end to the wisdom deity Manjushri, it says in the particular prayer, may I see the awakened mind, which means may I see my true nature of my mind. That is the prayer. So when we don't realize or when we don't see the awakened mind, that's where our mind gets confused and caught up. And when the minds get caught up, the side effect of that mental state is neurosis. And neurosis brings suffering. The cause of all our suffering in life comes from the cause, which is neurosis. Obviously, when we ask the question, can our suffering comes without any cause or with a cause, we have to admit that there must be a cause. Things do not happen without a cause. That's where the notion of karma comes. Karma means deeds, whether it's mental deeds, deeds of speech, or deeds of activity. Physical deeds or non-physical deeds. Mental state is non-physical deeds. Physical deeds is our actions, good or bad. And they are the one, behind the deeds is our mind. The thought process, the thinking process. And the thinking process, we need to examine and study how the thinking process is happening. So that is very important in order to understand our life. It all sums up in this mind. Beside your mind, there is no life. Beside your mind, who is to experience good? Who is to experience bad? Who is to experience high? Who is to experience low? Who is to experience confusion? Who is to experience awaken clarity? There is nothing beside your mind. Our whole trip of life is happening through our mind. And if there is no mind, then our body is like a corpse. The corpse is also there. You can see the whole body, but there is no mind, so there is no functioning. So everything happening, our relationships, our day-to-day life situation, our good deeds, our bad deeds, in between, everything happening from mind. That's very clear. There's no one can deny that fact. It's happening. Your life means your mind. Now, whether you are happy or not depends on that mind. You see, so it all really comes to that mind. So now, Buddha's teaching. Buddha was never interested whether you become Buddhist or not. That is absolutely has nothing to do with Buddha's teaching. There's 4 lines in Buddha's teaching. It explains that do not create any harmful or unvirtuous thing. Create virtuous means positive thing. Subdue this hardened mind, this bad habit mind, so to speak, which is out of control. Traditional, the examples of wild elephants or monkeys who would never sit on one spot but jumping all around all the time. So our mind is like that, never focused, never stable, never unspotable. When you're thinking this, you want to do that. When you're doing that, you want to do this. Constantly, always moving around without any sense of groundedness. And that mind which is jumping around is afflicted, affliction. As long as there is affliction, there is no peace, there's no harmony, there's no stability in life. So basically, the 4 lines it says, do not create any unvirtues, create virtue, subdue that mind, Who can subdue their mind? It's not Buddha. You have to subdue your mind. You're your master. You have to be. The relative teacher or the external teacher is like a guide who can tell you. But then who has to do that? It's yourself. Like there's a food is prepared, but you have to eat if you want to taste that. Somebody else tasting it is not going to give you the satisfaction. So therefore, Buddha said, subdue that hardened mind, which has been used to so much habits. We live in a world of habits, isn't it? We all do. That hardened mind, if you subdue that, you tame that mind, then you will find happiness. And as deeper you can find liberation. That is Buddha's teaching, he said. There's no other Buddha's teaching than that. There's no other Buddha's teaching. There's nothing to become like Buddhists, you put a robe or something. Those are all artificial. They're all symbolic. What Buddha's, I don't think Buddha ever, in fact, if Buddha sees that people's trying to imitate wearing a robe or some kind of, external symbols and hold that as Buddhism, then Buddhism is lost. What Buddhism means inner ones, first of all. Buddha means awakened mind. It never says that you have to, some kind of dogma. So this is very important to understand that there's nothing to convert in Buddhism. The only thing what is told is work with your mind, and then you find liberation. That is really what's the core of the issue here is. So now, being said that, now we need to investigate the mind. So since everything is our mind, now what is mind? What is the present status of our mind? Our present situation, our present status of the mind. Well, we see in our present status of mind, aggression, yes, there is. Attachment, yes, there is. Jealousy, yes, there is. All kinds of emotions and neuroses that we live. And at the end of the day, for example, we say at the end of the day or at the end of the tunnel, they all bring suffering into our life. There's no other than that which brings suffering into our life. It is those things that which bring suffering into our life. So then what do we do? The question comes. How do I deal with our mind? What do I have to do? Well, you need to constantly focus. You need a mindfulness to watch your mind. And in watching the mind, first of all, we need a geography, so to speak, like, every state has a boundary, every country has a boundary, to know your geography. So we need to know our geography, which is our mind, our present state of the awareness, our mind. As I said, we find there is jealousy, there is aggression, there is anger, there is all these things. Then we need to study, where is this coming from? And is this something beneficial to me? Or is this something opposite of beneficial to me? Is it harmful to me? For my happiness, for my to have a good life, temporarily. And finally, to achieve completely getting out of this confusion. Is this mind can do this to me? The mind of jealousy, mind of attachment, mind of anger. Is this productive mind? It's going to support me to get to where I want to be. We all want to be happy. We all want to be free, without exception. Even dogs want to be free. Cats want to be free. We all see when there's caring and love, everybody loves caring and love. The opposite of that, nobody wants. As long as there's a mind, sentient, always look for freedom, liberation. And one of the reasons why everyone wants to come to America, the land of the free, relatively speaking. Cannot be absolute, but Because there is more freedom here than anywhere else. All other countries there is prosecution going, or this religious prosecution, or a dictatorship, or so many things we see in this world. But this country where there's more freedom and liberty, that's what every being wants, to be free. Every being wants to be happy, simply put. Doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor, or smart or not so smart, or educated or illiterate, it doesn't matter. Everyone just simply want to be free and happy. So then how do we get that? We all want that. Then how do we get to that state? Our mind, our life. How do we get that? I don't think we can get that through anger. In fact, anger destroys. It says that of all the emotion, anger is the most destructive element of all the things. Supposing you have been kind to someone, you have done a lot of things. But one strong anger can write off the whole thing. In fact, you may not be talking to each other for like many years. Very destructive quality in relationship, in our life, to oneself and many things. So does many other, all those, attachment. We think maybe some little attachment may be good. I think we need to, when you really look deeper, like on the fine line, as they say, the devil is on the little ladder or the fine line. When you really look deeper into that, there's any kind of attachment makes you insecure. And insecurity is the very fundamental cause, because insecurity is a confused mind. Insecurity is the cause of all our neuroses to manifest, such as our ego. Ego, when you really look deeper, is an insecure mind. And in fact, when you further look, just in your own life, the lesser the person is self-centered, the more happy they are. The more they're concerned and always about their fame and name and about their status and all these things, the more paranoid they are. It's very simple. So therefore, that kind of, the sense of ego, all neurosis is basically expression of insecurity, means it comes from ignorance. It's not coming out of a awareness of awaken or wisdom. Is coming from a state of mind which is very narrow mind, very little mind, very limited, confused mind. And then that, when we keep feeding that kind of mindset, we become more insecure, more insecure, more insecure. And that is not good at all. It can lead you to depression, it can make you neurotic, it can make terrible things. Therefore, that's what needs to be tamed. What Buddha's on the word, tame your mind. Tame that, there's nothing else to tame. Tame that is what we need to tame. We're not talking physical strength, beating somebody else or taming that. We are talking here, tame that mind. That neurosis, that aggression, see that with your mindfulness, always there. And when you tame that, then it doesn't create that situation which brings the suffering into our life. So in a way it's very simple, in a way it's very complicated, because we live in so complicated mind for so long, and now to become simple is sometimes so hard. It's funny. So when we see that insecurity, now, of course, insecurity wouldn't just come by itself alone. So what is the cause to that insecurity? Fundamental insecurity. It has to start with a fundamental insecurity. The fundamental insecurity is what is known as ignorance. Obviously, what else can be? That's what is called ignorance. And out of fundamental insecurity of ignorance, then it gives the birth to aggression. Then it gives like insecure. You're trying to basically hold on to something which doesn't actually exist at all. But that's the dilemma here. So you're trying to protect something. And we all see that when it goes to the extreme of, let's see, an ego builds to a crescendo with like very self-centered, egoistic maniac, we call. You see how extreme that can go deeper, become egomaniac, we call, or egocentric. And nobody is comfortable to be around that person. I don't think that person who is going through is not very happy with themselves. I don't think so at all. 100% clear. He or she may not feel comfortable with themselves. When someone who is egomaniac, it not only affects the other people surrounding, but it affects themselves more than what there are others going through. So that kind of mind state, how it has come to that point, it's sad in a way, and we should be aware that we do not become like that also. We have, when we don't work with our mind, and with this seed of negativity, of ignorance, and ego, and egomaniac, we have the potential to be bad as any dictator. This is the cooking pot, the spices. That is the spices which is brewing. And don't think right now, if you think careless, if you don't carry your mind, careless means if you don't care about yourself or carry your mind, it can become like that. Well, let's look at the life history of some of the dictators. Saddam Hussein, he wasn't as bad when there was the revolution. So does many dictators at the beginning. And as they got the power, as they become totally consumed in that, and then their mind stream with the very cause of that brew up, and then later so much destruction. Destructive to them, he died of hanging. He died of hangman, not in a villa with classical music going on. That kind of situation happens. So we also have the same potential. If we don't work with our mind, we can also candidate for some kind of situation like that. So we need to eliminate this obscuration. It's called traditional teaching called obscuration, mental obscuration from our mind. The insecurity, we need to purify that obscuration or defilement, whatever you want to call it. Obscuration, defilement, that is something needs to be worked on. That is something needs to be eliminated if we want to be free from that. So many happenings. Let's look at our life happenings in your life environment, your life situation. Your friends, families, all those things are influence how your mind is. You're in a gathering, you bring about your projection. And your projection is how you have built up your habits and emotions. And they are put out. And then, whether it's good situation or bad situation, depends on your state of the mind. Others feel that, your state of the mind. You go through, in your own mind, your state of the mind. So then going through the state of the mind, now we need to study, really, what is my state of the mind? What is the present status of my mind? And if we find a lot of anger in oneself, we need to work with that. First thing, look, there's really one great teaching. And that great teaching, very profound teaching, it says, please bless me to look at my own fault. Bless me not to look at fault of others. How we do in our life, we always look at outside, others' fault. And even when it's a fault like a mountain, you don't see that. But when others have a little tiny fault, you see it like a mountain. That is one of the cause of so much of our conflict and our confusion and our suffering in life. How can you ever, unless you look into your mind, how can you ever find how your state of the mind is? So if you're very unhappy, something must be, there's something wrong, some neurosis. There's nothing other than wrong is the neurosis, which is bringing the suffering into your life. So you look, we call it 3-root poison. The word poison, when we hear word poison, is detrimental. It can kill you. So here, there are the 3-root poison, which is ignorance, anger, and attachment, possessiveness, so on. These 3 can bring suffering into our life. So therefore, traditionally, they use the word 3-root poison. From the 3-root poison, then stem 5 poison, adding up envy. Envy is a further attachment. Like something, it doesn't belong to you, you want that to yourself. It has some ingredient of aggression also in that. It's one of the, I think, extreme attachment, extreme possessiveness, which doesn't belong to you, you want that. And you will make every effort with cunning or whatever, try to achieve. So that creates really negative energy and tremendous suffering. So you need to study which is your main weakness of your mind, and then work with that. So more you look to yourself, the more you work with the fundamental problems, fundamental ailment, your mental dosa, mental ailment, we can use it definitely is a mental ailment, neurosis. When we keep working, it will purify. There's the power of, we have natural ingredient to heal itself. Like we say, immune system. So let's say like a mental immune system. There's a system that it can work because it can see. How do you know that you can work with your mind? Because your mind see it. When you're angry, your mind can see that. Oh, I'm angry. I don't like it, you could say. I mean, nobody likes when we get angry. And then we see, oh, I don't feel good about this. And I don't think this is something I cherish in my life, to have this kind of emotional state. And I need to work with it. Most sane people, unless one is completely psychotic, or then one may not know, but 99% of the human being would know when we go through that, I need to work with this. Maybe I need to go to rehab, or I need to go to counseling, or I need to do something, for example. So we need to put the focus inside. So therefore, mind has the potential to see itself. And that's one of the methods in meditation. The most powerful method to heal your mind is meditation. And the other one would be compassion. You see, compassion is extremely important. We need to really learn about compassion. We don't know much about compassion. We only think that compassion is giving some bread to some poor person or give some clothes, But that's just a very small level. You're just touching the surface of the compassion. It's so deep. Compassion can be very playful. Compassion can be very humorous. Compassion can be sometimes, a little bit strong, sometimes gentle, many different ways. But most important thing is to, we have the potential to see what's happening. That is amazing gift we have, human intelligence. We need to use that intelligence. If we don't use that intelligence, we are just making it dormant, completely wasting our mind. Like you need to use your body doing exercise. You need to use your mind watching your mind. And then you begin to work with that. Once you start watching your mind, you begin to see how I can do that. And you can do that as you keep doing sitting practice or meditation. You can see the effect, changes happening in your life. Very simple. You have the potential to do it. It's not like you are dependent on some external savior to come, beam me up, Scotty, whatever, that is just like fantasy. And in fact, there is something like that. You are put on a trip, some, marijuana trip. And of course, now one can smoke marijuana. But that wouldn't work. It may only be very temporarily. But you have the potential in your mind to watch, you have the potential in your mind to free. But we also know, yes, that is possible, but I'm weak. I cannot do that all the time. My mind is just so bad, I'm so habituated, used to it, I don't have control. We kind of give up. I think that's very sad. Why should we give up? The biggest gift, the biggest treasure you have is your mind. And the treasure, this mind, has so much potential, not only an emotion state you can overcome, but you can find liberation from the entire cyclic existence of confusion. That kind of quality the mind has, which is called Buddha nature, that everyone has this quality in each and every being, as long as there's a sentient. So we really need to learn about that. We need to learn about our mind, then we learn about everything. We learn about all the path. We learn about existence of samsara. We learn about existence of what nirvana means. Just simply learning your mind. You don't have to go outside. In fact, you can just learn the whole thing by sitting, practice, and meditation, the entire thing, gradually as you progress, gradually. In the ancient tradition of teaching, the teaching is given in many different ways. There's teaching given by reading books, and teaching given by some very highly realized master when they give teaching given based on experience. So teaching given based on experience, very much the student is told to study, meditate, don't read any books. True meditators, because when you read books, you get ideas, and you entertain ideas. And the serious practitioner in the mountain who does like a year of meditation, or 2 years, or 6 months, or whatever, working with the teacher would say, don't close your book, leave your book. Just work with your mind. If your mind is so attached to McDonald's, you'll be just working with McDonald's in your mind until you get liberated from McDonald's. Because your mind is the book. Actually, all books is what you read and put idea. What else idea is there outside beside your mind? You see, the practice of meditation is done quite differently. So, of course, one can also read books. One can learn about this philosophy, this idea, this method. But actually, you're working with your mind. This very mind. And then in order to work with the mind, we need to have some background understanding what is the mind, such as the neurosis mind, that we need to purify that obscuration and liberate that obscuration. Now, liberation will come from very deep wisdom, but purification will come from good-heartedness. If you're courteous, you try to really work with your mind to be gentle. The very hardened, aggressive mind, you try to work with that. You can become gentle. In that way, you purify the obscurations of habitual mind. You change. Now then it's liberation of mind. Eliminate the very root cause. That will only happen by seeing the true nature of very deep awareness. That will come from practice of meditation a long time. So we have all this thing in our own mind. Nothing is lacking. One is the enlightened, the seed of enlightenment in every being. The only question is whether we have tapped that or left it dormant. And in fact, we don't look at the real cause and then we make war. My religion is better than yours. In fact, everyone is engaging in aggression and war. What kind of stupidity that is? Fighting wars, killing, this, that, and in the name of religion. While the very thing we need to work with, we're leaving it, not looking at it. And looking outside, this is better. Your one is worse. That's called ignorant. So, we should pray that we always have compassion and we always learn to be gentle and kind and respectful to others and tolerance and patience. Those are mental training one can develop through mental training. And deeply one should find a state where one can find complete liberation from all thoughts. Before they form as neurosis, you can liberate that on a very deeper level. So now let's all do a meditation. So please sit in a comfortable posture. Best is sitting on a cross leg and have your body straight, but not uptight. Body should never be uptight. It should be totally relaxed. And your chin, not looking up, no bending down, just straight and relax. The whole thing should be relaxed. Mind and body both should be relaxed. And then once it's relaxed, now you need to focus, you need to ground. Why we are doing meditation? So that we can ground our mind, first of all. In other words, I want to be connected to my mind. Because usually you are lost, either with some thoughts of the past, or some thoughts of the future, or presently, wandering here and there, you have no idea, you're spaced out. So that's not connecting with your mind. So if you need to know your mind, you need to be connected to your mind, the first thing. And so, you should tell yourself in your mind, the zafutan where you're sitting, the meditation cushion, you should say, on the zafu is my body. In my body is my mind, and mind relax, like drop it. Don't hold it, just drop it. Drop your body, so to speak, like a lasso. When the cowboys throw their lasso, like that. You drop the body, drop the mind, just being on the cushion or chair, just there. That's it. And then, now you breathe. Naturally you will breathe. And when they simply wash the breath, when you breathe out and when you breathe in, just simply be with the breath, but don't put pressure on the breath. Don't make your breath to do job. Try not to put pressure or dominate or be anything to your breath like we do to everything. We usually, make our mind run so much, like overwork our mind, and then anxiety and the rest of neurosis, everything stems from that. So here you just simply drop. You just with the breath, and of course then a thought will arise. It's not that there is no thoughts arising. Thoughts arise, just look at it as a thought. That's it. Let go. When you breathe in, breathe out. Whatever thoughts come, good thoughts, bad thoughts, Don't try to accept good thoughts, nor try to reject bad thoughts. They're all just thought, just simply thinking. You can say, oh, this is thinking mind. That's it. Just don't grasp to that. Just simply let go and just relax and sit. Now, when you sit, there are some mistakes, such as feeling drowsiness or too many thoughts arising. You don't know how to bring your mind to grounding. So when that happens, too much thought arising, then slightly look down your eye, slightly look, but without pressure also. Just like there's a space. You allow the space to be space. Don't try to clog your space. Just look, and that's it. Just let go. If too many thoughts arise, just slightly look down. Or you can look straight and let go. No penetration in the space. Allow the space to be space. Don't make something out of the space. Just simply be there. So good thoughts come, also no need, oh, now this is special, I need to put it somewhere. No need. Again, just see it and let go. Bad thoughts come also, is just a thought, thinking, and you just recognize the thought and let go. So let's do it in that way. So no drowsiness. When drowsiness comes, you should kind of like pull your body up or something, make it more alert. And if there's too many thoughts come, just kind of like, bring it slightly down. And these two are the obstacle or mistake of meditation practice. So you need to be alert, but simple. Just sit. Okay, so here now we can have a question and if you have any question, we can have some discussion here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So you talked about neurosis, you talked about afflictive states of mind, you talked about how through meditation we can see it clearly we can see it. And you talked about working with those afflictive states. Could you maybe go a little more in depth as to how do you work with those afflictive states? How do you work with them?
When you look at our mind right now, it's like a wild horse without any rein, just like. So that's our state of mind. So you need to have, the first thing you need to do is to have the rein so that you can, have it go without being wild. And that comes from the practice of shamatha meditation, the practice of meditation called shamatha. Shamatha means calm abiding, first of all, from how to tame that wild horse or the wild monkey or the elephant, whatever example you may use. That's the metaphor of how our mind is functioning. So first thing you need to do is have the mind grounded. And for that you need mindfulness. That's the main key. Watching your mind. Watching your mind in meditation, you have more aware. Though you may lose your mind from time to time in meditation, especially at the beginning, those who are not used to do meditation practice, you will flip out and get back, flip out and get back. Then as time goes by, then there will be more stability. So in meditation, you are more aware that you need to sit and you need to be aware of through your mindfulness. And then gradually, it's not just, in fact, when you ask a question, depth. Well, that's a very big question. It's not simply calming the mind. Yes, it does, calms the mind. But at the same time, it's purifying all the negative energies, negative energies produced by neurosis. A lot of habitual tendencies, gross habitual tendencies, subtle habitual tendencies that our day-to-day life function through our mental habitual patterns that we are so used to it. And they do get purified. And then, so while at least you have a sense of idea how to work with your mind when you're doing sitting practice or meditation, then there is a post-meditation when you go out. Your day-to-day life functioning, whether in job, whether you meet people, all the activities. So at that time we get distracted. Distracted, the word distracted I'm using because, again, the fundamental neurosis of insecurity, the ego and aggression and all those come, and that's our called distraction. You see, not just, okay, I'm driving and I missed the red light. Well, that is a distraction too. You will get a big fine. Not in India, in fact. I was driving and there was a police car waiting and everyone is going through the red light. Nobody cares. But here you may get a ticket. But distraction in a sense, as long as the mind is captured by neurosis, all the time is distraction. Because all the time, the neurosis is no other function than its only function is bringing suffering to us. Therefore, mind is always, because we live so much, you see, there's some kind of unpleasantness a lot of time. Even on weekends, when you didn't have to work, you sit, some boredom, let's say. And then you go somewhere, let's say you go to watch a movie, you didn't like the movie, or the tea didn't taste well, or it wasn't a good situation of something happened. Because who is giving that, putting that energy is the neurosis. Therefore, they're dangerous, vicious. We can't be friendly with the neurosis. They're the real enemy, not the outside enemies are nothing. Inside this neurosis is your true enemy. Because it has no other function. Its only function is to give you suffering. Therefore, they are vicious. Therefore, we need mindfulness. We need to really see that. We can't just become careless about that. Because what is producing is suffering to you all the time, that mental state. So in post-meditation state, you need to be aware. When you do a sitting practice in the morning, the best time is good to do in the morning or evening, whenever you have time. But supposing you do early in the morning, the whole day your mind will be much calmer. You can able to relate with things, but not very neurotic. A little bit aggression arises, but less, you can tame it. And as time keeps going by, then you have more power to your basic goodness than the neurosis which is functioning and taking your charge. Right now, a lot of time, your life is taken charge by neurosis. It's clear. It's very true. No need to hide about that. It's true. Whether we like it or not, that's happening in many people's life and mind. So we have to be aware. Who can now treat that? You, nobody else. No one can, change that. When you are willing to work with the mind, that is the starting of the ending of your suffering. Mental problems can only be solved mentally, not physically. Physically, physical is, first of all, is a psychosomatic body. Without a mind, the body has no function. So body's pain and pleasure are influenced through the mind. So finally it comes down, the root of the whole thing is the mind. So you have to be, as I said, in sitting practice, you're aware how to now, work with yourself. And in post-meditation state, you need to be aware of your thoughts and emotions. And then, it's like a horse rein, then it will come down. Then gradually, then change will happen into your life. More openness, more joy, more humor, more the sense of insecurity. When it gets less and less, the sense of confidence to your basic goodness will manifest. We all have a basic goodness. The actual nature of the mind is basic goodness. There's no badness. Badness, you see, one thing about that. Why badness? We can remove it. Because you can see and you can stop it, right? So therefore, badness is temporal. It's not ultimate. It's not permanent. It's impermanent. It's a temporal obscuration. Because it doesn't have any valid ground to be there. You can remove that. If it's permanent, it can never go away no matter what you go. You can never get rid of, let's say you get a fiery like aggression, something. If it's permanent, you cannot work with that. If you see the effect, the negative effect of that, you can tame that. And it will be tamed, and it will be free. Therefore, all negative mind is temporal mind. It has no ground, valid ground, to be there on an absolute level. Something like that.
Thank you. And it's so good to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. You said about 3 poison. And that is ignorance, anger, and craving.
Mm-hmm.
How about nostalgia or sadness?
There are side effects. Basically, the root cause, like the ground, is the ignorance. Moment there is ignorance, is insecure. The insecure, what it does, all our energies, instead of energy in the positive energy, it becomes twisted energy, and that is anger, because it is linked with insecurity, neurosis. Same is craving. It's not that you should not have craving for blueberries, that's fine. But you were craving for destructive thing. That is where the danger is.
How about sadness then?
Sadness is part of it's like a part of side effect of those 3 poison. They are all like the 3 root poison is ignorance, anger, and craving, you can say. And then from stem, the rest of the neurosis. And then when you feel sadness, you're basically lost in that neurosis, the fundamental neurosis of insecurity. So lack of confidence. Sadness is all part of lack of confidence, which really sums up the whole thing. Because awakened mind would have no lack of confidence. It's awake and it's free all the time. You have a mind, enlightened Buddha mind, which is all energies have potential to be free. Is it true or not? Look. Why? Because all thoughts and emotion have no real valid ground. All thoughts, emotion, neurosis, here we're talking neurosis, have no valid ground, therefore is devoid of any neurosis in fact. So neurosis is a temporal confusion hanging like a cloud in the sky. The nature of the sky is free, but the clouds temporarily seems it's blackened, so you don't see through. Or like a nature of the sun is always shining, but the clouds, when there is there, you don't see the sun. It doesn't mean there was no sun. Sun is always shining, but it's obscured temporarily by the cloud. Like that is a temporal phenomena which obscure. Therefore, when you watch, you can see that. And you can see the destructive force, destructive energy. And when you really bring that into practice, you can remove that.
Hi, Rinpoche. You were talking earlier about when, mind looking basically back at mind. What's that second mind doing?
Second mind.
The second, what I'm referring to, the second mind is like you have your mind, you have discursive thoughts, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the things you were saying is your mind looks at that. In a sense, your mind is looking back at your mind. And so that's what I'm referring to as that second mind. Is there an activity of that second mind when you're looking at it? Are you just looking? Are you trying to accomplish something? So that's what I mean by the second mind. So what's that second mind doing?
Did you hear Dzogchen teaching?
Yes, Rinpoche.
So you are asking on the point of the Dzogchen teaching, looking at the mind?
Somewhat, yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, let me put it this way. There's a conventional way of looking at the mind and unconventional way of looking at the mind. Conventional way of looking at the mind, you're dealing with subjective thoughts and objective situation. So when you look at what Buddhism, here the question was Buddhism, Nangpa. The Tibetan word is Nangpa, means inner ones. Theistic and non-theistic. Theistic is external one. The non-theistic is internal one, because you look at your own mind. In theism, you have to look outside, such as the notion of creator and everything else, somebody outside. While in non-theistic, there's no creator, you look at inside. Since the mind is the very source, therefore you look at the mind. So therefore, on a conventional level, when you look at the mind, mindfulness is required. Mindfulness of your emotions and thoughts, which is happening, how to work with that. Then you can use the mindfulness alone. There's unconventional mindfulness. Unconventional mindfulness is basically more sense of aware of one's own awakened awareness, primordial awareness. So when you look at inside, as I said, if there is no, if all these emotions and thoughts, Dzogchen teaching is extremely high, is talking from that level, then since there is all great perfection, then when you look, what is there to look for? If it's great perfection, the word very great perfection points out on that level, you can't, it transcends basically subjective and objective. But both subjective and objective dualism is obscuration. In that awareness where there is no obscuration of dualism, it's all fundamentally liberated. Well, on a conventional level, when we look inside, we don't blame, as generally in the Buddhist teaching, the practices. Buddhism, if one has to work with oneself, and I really think the day meditation is lost, Buddhism is lost. Because then there's nothing to work with oneself. The method of meditation, which is introduced, how to work with oneself, is really the core of the teaching of Buddhism. And if that is lost, then just simply a symbol, wearing some dresses or some rituals, then Buddhism is, essence of Buddhism is lost.
Rinpoche, thank you for your teaching. So a question that I've struggled with a lot is, so during shamatha meditation, the calm abiding, you stay, you watch the mind generates thoughts, that's how the mind operates, but you say, hey, that is a thought. And then, so when I come from that in the morning, my job, the career that I'm in is there's a term called brainstorm, and so it's, to think up as many thoughts as I can and say, oh, that one actually works. So it's the exact opposite. So the conflict for me is like, am I just supposed to be aware and conscious of the thoughts that I have to generate throughout the day? Or how do I interact with thoughts from meditation of calm abiding to going to, oh, thought one, thought two, thought three? How do I deal with that on a daily basis and bring my practice into my life?
Very good question. You see, the mind spectrum, first of all, as I said, meditation means not simply calming the mind, you see. Just simply, it doesn't just, the level of meditation gets deeper and deeper. So therefore, first stage is called shamatha meditation. Then second stage is called vipassana meditation. Most vipassana centers there are today are all shamatha, it's not vipassana. We can say there's a conventional vipassana. There is a conventional vipassana, and that's what they're teaching is conventional vipassana. Unconventional vipassana, the external insight, is the Mahamudra and Dzogchen teaching. That is requires highly trained masters, you know. So basically, since it's all talking basically, whether it's shamatha, whether it's vipassana, conventional, unconventional, mahamudra, dzogchen, it's basically all talking about this mind. They're not outside of your mind. They're all like stages of your mind. So at the beginning stage, we like to be calm. You know, because every day people are so hang up and so many things happening, brainstorming, whatever. You like to be calm. And when you're calm, you feel peaceful. You feel more, you know, being connected to yourself and able to do things clearly. Whether you are studying, you're thinking, you're researching, whatever you do, your mind is clear and there, and less aggression. It has the power. Aggression and neurosis are less. In some way, it has, word we may know, I know people don't like the word suppress, but it has been suppressed. So you are, you know, a little bit more sane than being crazy. So then as you keep meditating, shamatha meditation not only is simply, I think the word suppression is not right. Suppression in Tibetan means nenpa. And there's a dulwa and nenpa. Sim dul. It never say mind suppress in Tibetan. Sim dul means make the mind gentle from harsh one. So it makes, I think it's more proper to say gentle mind, gentleness is developed from the harsh condition. You know, it's not about suppression, because suppression has a negative connotation. I think it just kind of like suppress. But gentleness, it makes our mind gentle. Shamatha meditation, I should say, makes the mind gentle. So once the minds become gentle, it has tremendous benefit. It makes your mind neurosis less. It gives you more joy, bliss. 3 experiences come out of shamatha meditation. Bliss of the mind. Like you don't even want to move sometime. You know, you can have bliss and clarity and openness. There's no suppression. We wouldn't call that suppression, because suppression wouldn't really have that kind of quality. So excuse me, my language was not right when I really think about it. You know, I learned English from hippies, so don't come. In Nepal, I learned from my hippie friends. I love hippies. So I think gentleness is the proper word. And then once it's gentle, tremendous benefit. However, whether it's bliss, joy of mind, really like very open, very joyful. And then naturally that makes you less insecure. And naturally that makes you more kindness, more openness, more able to connect with everything in the positive way. And that creates positive karma, deeds. Positive deeds bring positive result. So you see, side effect, one thing leads to the next. Then, however, shamatha meditation still, it doesn't transcend duality. So now when we talk deeper question of mind, then that takes, first one has to, have shamatha. So shamatha is like, traditional, they use example, like a candle burning and you put a glass. And then even there is storms, wind and storm, but the candle, the light will always burn because it's protected by the glass. See, there's light. Everyone can see things. Everyone's not going to walk properly and don't break their legs and hands, they can see through where to go and what's inside. But without that protection of glass, the wind will just blow off the candle. Then everything is dark. So shamatha meditation is extremely important, calm abiding. And the side effects are tremendous, including, now again, my word may be not right, side effect, you see, excuse me if it's wrong, but the benefit, one could say, or the benefit you get out of that, including intuitive knowledge. Foreknowledge also. You can read the minds of other people. That amount of mind get clarity because now all those aggressive neurosis has been purified, not completely purified, but to great extent it is turned to, then you have intuition, perception, very clear like that. So many benefits. To the point, even in the next life, because our life cycle is a karmic life, right? For example, your body is a byproduct of your karma, your deeds. Whether your position, your wealth, your power, your joy, it also, or your deeds, good and bad deeds, is byproduct of this body. It's a temporal, because constantly everything changes. However, the consciousness doesn't die. The scientists trying to find out where is the mind. They couldn't find the mind. Mind is not an object. However, the mind is there. Without the mind, your body is a corpse. So the mind will take the birth which your mind is produced, deeds at the present life. So therefore, let's not look that far in the next life. Let's look at the next 10 years. If your mind has become gentle, for the next 10 years, your life would have big changes, joys, everything, your environment would be very different. Versus where you have untamed mind with a lot of neurosis, a lot of aggression, you can expect what's going to happen for the next 10 years. Something similar like that. It's very logical that is. So benefit like that. So mind produced, since the mind has a quality of basic goodness, therefore it produced the joy, it produced the clarity, clairvoyance, intuitive, and it can produce tremendous some kind of, since everything is energy and how we, it can produce many phenomena like powers and all kinds of things, positive energies. So that's how meditation of shamatha does, benefit of shamatha. And of course, the doctors say today meditation is very good for immune system. If you are worrying all the time, it eats your immune system. And it's also very bad for your health, whether needless to say mental health, also physical health is very bad. High blood pressure, so many things. So it has tremendous benefit, general immune system, your well-being. Because your mind is happier, then happier mind brings positive energy. Negative mind, insecure mind brings a lot of paranoia and fear and suffering, needless to say. So many benefit from the practice of meditation. Then when it goes further deeper to Mahamudra and the Dzogchen teaching, then we are talking about, the very fundamental, the root cause, one sees potential. Let me put it this way. Mind has the potential to completely heal itself. Of course, we're seeing that to a certain extent in shamatha meditation, how mind has the potential to be gentleness, right? It's already inside you. You just have to tap it and open it up. So now let me give you an example of, if you get bitten by a cobra, dangerous snake, you need that very cobra's venom to completely heal, otherwise you will be dead. So the aggression is not saying the aggression can heal aggression, or the craving will heal craving, or the ignorance will illuminate ignorance. I'm not talking. But ignorance and craving and anger contains an essence which can free itself. That very high level of teaching comes, and that is only when the student develop that kind of gentleness, then teacher teaches the next level. Because there's fundamental goodness is that. It is not that we take the raw aggression. No, the raw aggression has to be liberated. Raw ignorance has to be liberated. Raw craving has to be liberated. But the mind contains that possibility that it can free itself, such as the gentleness. Of course, already it's starting through the shamatha meditation. So that is shamatha, then vipassana means extraordinary insight. That mind has that insight quality in itself to free all neurosis. Now what happens when you free all neurosis? What you see this world through the prism of neurosis. Nobody sees everything same. We have a common seeing and particular seeing. 7 billion people on this earth have a common seeing, such as each continent, human being, we see it commonly, such as like a particular brand of car. Everyone will say that is a Ford or Toyota or whatever. But then there's a particular, some may like it, some may not like it. Some may like the front part, some may not like the back part. Some may say the door is too high, some may say the door is too small. All kinds of individual experiences function through the build-up of emotions, neurosis. Therefore, it's infinite karma, infinite deeds creates infinite experience. So every single being sees differently. One person, somebody will like, the other person may not like. The other person may like very much, the other person like medium. Or in the morning you like, afternoon you don't like. Constantly changing. There's nothing remains there, because seeing through the changes of your thoughts and emotions, and therefore you are constantly, screening it through. But however, those are, therefore is called illusory phenomena. All this phenomena is illusory, constantly changing. There's nothing that you can count on. Can you count on anything? You can't. Nothing has been counted. Even your own self, what you think of yourself has been changing. How can you count somebody else? So what you can really count is deeper level of awareness, that you need to find the wisdom. Until we don't discover wisdom, we are always running around. So therefore we need to start with now discovering the gentle quality, and then extraordinary insight. Through the practice of meditation, you have the whole thing in yourself. There will be no external kind of computer chip put inside you. It is all you have that within you, the potential. So as step goes by, we will discover. But it won't be discovered that easy. You have to work hard. You need compassion. Practice of compassion is very, very important to transcend ego. Without practice of compassion, you will always remain in a little mind of ego. It's not possible. There is no way to get out of this cycle without compassion. Absolutely not. There is no way. Kind-heartedness, gentleness, compassion, and not brave, courageous, not give up. Those is so important. Therefore, we need Sangha. Spiritual friend who will support you, who will be there for you, who will, correct you. Sometimes goes wrong. You can count on that. They also, everyone has to be respectful and caring and supportive, not judging, saying, "Oh, this is wrong or that is wrong," because we all have a lot of things to work out. As we say, nobody's perfect. Keeping in mind of that, then we are being open. A good spiritual friend, brother and sister, is someone who is there, listen and not judge, and be there and try to help. I think those are very important in a Sangha. And then we can, with that kind of support, with a teacher, with spiritual friend, then our lives can triumph. Otherwise, it's a challenging world. Everybody wants to be happy, but everyone is so confused today. They think, the aggression and so many things. Recently, there was killing in the school and all those things, so many confusion. Very disturbed mind, confused mind. So no guidance, no spiritual friend. Obviously, no guidance, obviously no spiritual friend. So things like that.
Thank you. What, if anything, is unconditioned, and why does knowledge of it matter to us?
Because it's your true nature. Why matter is that, there is so much bigger part of you, if I use the word, I don't know if that's the right word, that's who you are. You're not a little thing that, feel like bothered and, whatever is, all the impatience and all the things happening in our life. Your deeper nature is something quite different. But due to ignorance, we are trapped. We are trapped. We can see we are trapped, isn't it? So we need to get out of the trap. Thank you. So let's do a world peace prayer. Please distribute the prayer, and we will conclude. And as I earlier said, the prayer is prayer from the heart. So when you read this world peace prayer, please truly, today is a very difficult time in this world. So please do prayer from the heart with these words, the meaning of this word. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience. Reading the neurosis. All the sickness and death. Malnutrition of sickness. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche. It's so wonderful to see everybody here tonight and have Rinpoche back. So this Sunday, just a couple of announcements. Rinpoche will be joining us for meditation this Sunday from 10 to noon. So please feel free to come and join us for that. And then on Monday is, this is actually a powerful month. This is the first month of the Tibetan New Year. And so we've been doing a lot of this particular feast offering practice called Sok. So we'll be doing that again this coming Monday, which is a special day for Sok practice, at 6:30 we'll start that. Setup starts at 5:30 p.m. so that people can hopefully make it after work. So feel free to join us to help set up and then join us for the soak practice. And it's nice if you come to bring a food offering, so some, unopened, wrapped food that you can contribute to the offering practice. So thank you. Hope to see you all soon.